Toby had been welcomed warmly on Thomas's branch line. He checked through the village, cheerfully ringing his bell as he passed. The villagers were quite taken with their little tram engine, much to Thomas's annoyance. One evening, Toby and Henrietta were bringing the workmen home from the quarry. The trucks, loaded with stone, rattled behind them. They were just crossing the road when they heard an awful screech. Toby stopped, with the trucks blocking the road. The driver and guard inspected the train. One of the truck's brakes slipped on Toby. The driver explained it must have been loose. Won't take long to fix. As Toby waited, he spotted something up the road. The constable who had given Thomas trouble came speeding towards him on a bicycle. "And what's going on here?" demanded the constable. "Trouble with the wagon brakes, sir," Toby explained. "We'll soon be on our way." "Not soon enough," grumbled the constable. "You are blocking a busy public road." It doesn't look very busy at the moment, sir," Toby remarked, searching for any sign of a car nearby. "Don't get smart with me," snapped the constable. "You engines are nothing but lawbreakers." He scribbled furiously in his notebook, stormed back to the guard, thrust a ticket towards him, and rode off in a huff. "Obstruction of traffic," the guard cried. "Nonsense." With the truck's brakes fixed, Toby set off, quite dumbfounded. "I don't understand," he said to Thomas that night. "There wasn't a car to be seen. I think the constable has it out for us. Sir Topham Hatt won't be happy about that ticket." Thomas snorted. "Perhaps you're not the solution," he thought. "You are after all." Thomas shut his eyes and promptly went to sleep. "Outrageous!" Sir Topham Hatt shouted next morning as he furiously hung up the telephone. He leaned back in his chair and sighed heavily. "More coffee, sir?" asked the butler, topping up Sir Topham's cup. "More coffee is certainly welcome, Winston," he remarked. "These policemen are more trouble than they're worth." He sipped his coffee, pondering what to do. Later that day, Toby came down the farm lane with some trucks. He was still cross, and the trucks wisely behaved. Ahead, he could see the constable on his bicycle. Toby exited the lane and was just starting through the town when a car shot out in front of him. "Oh!" Toby cried, "Look out!" The constable hadn't heard the car, but it was headed right for him. Without hesitation, Toby rang his bell loudly. The constable heard that. He was so startled, he fell off his bicycle onto the sidewalk. The car sped past, narrowly missing him, and disappeared. "Are you all right, sir?" Toby asked. "Just what do you think you're playing at?" demanded the constable, rubbing his back. "But the car—" "Stow it!" barked the constable. "I'll be reporting you for this. Mark my words!" Before Toby could reply, Bertie bustled up. "Toby, are you all right? That car didn't hit you, did it?" "No, Bertie, I'm just fine." "Thank goodness! He gave my passengers a good fright. Quit thinking on your part." "What's this?" demanded the constable. "You're in cahoots with this engine." The driver and passengers stormed out of Bertie and marched up to the constable. "Look here," fumed the driver. "Toby's a hero. If it weren't for him, you'd be in a sorry state, let me tell you. Now, will you stop pestering Toby and try catching the real criminal?" he finished, pointing down the road. The passengers, continuing to scowl at the constable, mumbled in agreement. He stammered. "I couldn't have put it better myself." Everyone turned to see Sir Topham Hatt and the chief of police. "First," Sir Topham Hatt began, "you disrupt the work of my engines. Now, you pin the blame of someone else's actions on them. I must say, Constable, your actions don't leave me with much faith in the police." "I assure you, Sir Topham," grumbled the chief, "will ensure this never happens again." He motioned angrily for the constable to follow him. "Sorry," he stammered, before silently walking after the chief. That night, Toby backed into the sheds to find Thomas smiling. "Well done, Toby," he chuckled. "Oh, nothing to it," Toby said modestly. "You've got to look out for the people on your line, no matter their behavior." "Not that," Thomas replied. "I mean the constable. You should have seen how he jumped when you rang your bell. Not so tough after all, I suppose." Toby smiled. It certainly hadn't been for a laugh. But he couldn't help feeling that, by saving the constable, he'd made a friend in Thomas.